Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you. USD Tether, the questions remain. And guess what else? Ripple responds to the SEC's motion to get permission and file for an interlocutory appeal. You're going to love their response. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Sorry about that. Had a little trouble with the sound there. We got it straight. Currently, right now, $1.2 trillion. And what is going on here with this? $1.17 trillion. And the market is off by 2% this morning. 28,400 for Bitcoin, now under 29,000. 1,700 slipping from the 1,800 and change spot, Ethereum here. Tether market cap down to 82.8 billion plus. As you can see the narrative here, everything is off. I'm not even talking about the 0.1% XRP's had. We're 58 cents, ladies and gentlemen, but this is a crucial touch point that we've heard a lot of technical analysts refer to. Will it continue to slide or will it hold? We will watch it to see. Off by 1.7 in 24 and off by 6.9% in the 7-day. But you know what's not off? It's Ripple. And you can still get the private equity right here at Link2 along with the other incredible companies. But one of the things you're going to see soon is fully subscribed like you do with Cerebras. Eventually, you're going to see that here with Ripple, and there isn't going to be any more. So don't mess around. Click the link if you want private equity for Ripple. And yes, you have to be accredited, but click that link and don't mess around. Get your account funded so you can act now. Breaking. This is Link2 sits down with the CEO of Uphold, by the way, who has had the XRP communities back from day one. Come on in. Yeah. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but you're going to want the first part of this because Simon is on fire.
The Ripple case is hugely important because of two things.
Tell him, Simon.
Number one, it makes it clear that XRP, as a matter of US law today, is not a security. There are only two digital assets now that you can be absolutely confident, as a matter of US law today, are not securities: Bitcoin and XRP. The second thing that's important in that judgment is the programmatic ruling. And if you take the logic from the programmatic ruling, it basically means that any digital asset, or at least it's very hard to see how any digital asset traded in the secondary market is a security, unless there are, facts and circumstances and documentary evidence that show there's an investment contract. But
I tell you, that just feels good right there. And don't forget about the Uphold Vault that is going to provide early access to XRP holders not too long from now. I think it's next month, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Then we see BitPay released worldwide support for XRP, allowing BitPay users across the world to buy, store, swaps, and spend XRP across all BitPay solutions. So we're very excited to see those things unfold. And by the way, I wanted to shout out to, I think it's, oh gosh, I can't remember his handle now, but he had shared something the other day about PayPal and being able to use buy and sell other cryptos, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. And as of right now, I don't believe XRP is available in that regard. However, XRP is the only digital asset in the United States that has clarity, so I can't see that being too long from now before it is available on PayPal's desk. And remember, the UK halted trading on crypto on PayPal just so they don't get too far out in front of regulation itself. They expect to be relisting trading opportunities on PayPal's platform, I think, in early 24, so watch out for that. Here we see, this year is going by so fast, isn't it? I mean, it's August right now. It will be no time. We're here at the end of the year. Christmas is coming. USD Tether ties to China here. This originally shared from Mr. Intuitive. Shout out to him. All of this feels very suspect and sketchy. You need to hear a piece of this because the reality is we still don't know where the U.S. government stands when it comes to USD Tether, and this is why we need to know.
Tether is the world's largest stablecoin. Recently,
this.
it confirmed that a large portion of its reserves were in commercial paper and other securities from China. But Tether's ties to China run far deeper than commercial paper.
Do tell.
For starters, Tether co-founders Brock Pierce, Jonathan Iantis, and William Quigley used to run a company that relied on workers in China to grind for World of Warcraft gold and then sell it to the firm. It then resold it at a premium to Western players. And Tether's chief financial officer and CEO used to run an electronics import-export business together. The Chinese division, Perpetual Action Group, was run by CEO Van der Velde and listed as a shareholder in Bitfinex, which is the parent company that owns much of Bitfinex and Tether. This same company also owns Huashan Electronics, another firm Van der Velde used to run. It's currently listed on China's, quote, seriously illegal and dishonest entities list, end quote, which prevents the Tether CEO from running other companies in China. But that didn't stop both Bitfinex and Tether incorporating entities in Hong Kong. Bitfinex Limited, later Renminbi, was incorporated in 2013 and Tether Limited in 2014. Tether's ties to China grow stronger when we consider Xiaodong, a Tether shareholder and partner for the launch of the Yuan Tether. He previously operated Renminbit, a cryptocurrency trading and lending desk. Xiao was arrested in China and pled guilty to laundering hundreds of millions of dollars for online casinos. Indeed, Tether is often chosen for money laundering in China, thanks to its relative stability and few limitations. And Chinese merchants heavily rely on cryptocurrency over-the-counter trading desks in Russia to convert local currency to Tether so they can easily remit it back to China. Tether is commonly used to evade capital controls in China. Tether's own website even recognized this by bragging it, quote, allows entities and individuals to circumvent capital controls by utilizing an entirely different financial infrastructure.
Okay, there you have it right there. That's enough of that, right? It's a problem, okay? And all I have to say is, look, I'm not trying to throw shade on Tether. Tether got their own shade, all right? And you see it right there. There's my concerns, along with a whole host of others. But the reality here is don't assume that something has clarity just because it has been operating for years without it. If we have learned nothing else as Ripple XRP investors, the XRP digital asset was out here for 8 years before being attacked by a government agency. Do not forget that one. Then serious question here. This is back to Prometheum. We know that they got that special purpose broker-dealer's license issued by the SEC and Gary Goldman Gensler. Serious question, knowing that they have CCP ties as well. What is going on here? Why does Gary Gensler still have a job? Serious question. Then we see this. Boy, I tell you what. The SEC is not an agency that embarrasses very easily. Ripple files its opposition to the SEC's anticipated motion for leave to file an interlocutory appeal, essentially wanting to appeal the case through interlocutory appeal, which will need the judge's approval to do so. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. It is remarkable as always. You know Ripple brings the heat. But what I am going to show you here is this highlighted by attorney Bill Morgan. Shout out to Bill. There is no intra-district split over whether digital assets standing alone can be investment contracts. Whether the Howey test applies or the Howey test should be applied to defendants' offer sales and of XRP based on the record presented at summary judgment. While this court's holding rested on record evidence at summary judgment that Ripple made no promises or offers to purchasers in programmatic sales. This is different than what we saw in the Terra case. As we know, the Terra case had rates of return that were offered to all purchasers of 19 to 20%. This is apples and oranges we're talking about here. Shout out to Bill Morgan for that. Give him a follow if you haven't done it. John Deaton says this is an excellent response the way it's written out here. Again, I'm not going to take the time to read it. It'll take 30 minutes for me to get through the damn thing. But you know it's amazing. I gave you some of the highlights there. We got a couple more coming. Excellent response, says John Deaton. Even stronger argument will be coming next from Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson's attorneys related to the SEC's request for a stay. If it wasn't for the Rakoff ruling, I would lean towards Judge Torres denying the SEC's request to file a motion for interlocutory appeal. The SEC doesn't come close to meeting the standard justifying an early appeal. But with the Rakoff ruling out there, her allowing the SEC to write a formal motion will give her an opportunity to further demonstrate why her decision is sound and based on evidence or lack thereof, thus making her decision even more appeal-proof. So don't be surprised what he's saying here if you see the judge actually allow the SEC file for the interlocutory appeal so she could further body slam them with her original decision. This highlighted here from Paul Grewal, I remind you, former federal judge, chief legal officer of Coinbase here. He says this is powerful, especially in the highlighting the hypocrisy of claiming a controlling issue of law when they told the court precisely the opposite repeatedly. Now, he cites the sections in here, whether or not a particular transaction involves the offer and sale of a security will depend on facts and circumstances, cites the case spot again, how we must be applied to the facts and circumstances at hand, and it submitted more than 1,600 factual assertions that it claimed were relevant and material to the court's decision. And yet, the SEC keeps coming back for more. We have to understand, again, this is not an agency that embarrasses very easily. This here from Jeremy Hogan here, he says, Ripple makes solid arguments why the appeal shouldn't be allowed, but, as John Deaton hinted here, if it is allowed, Ripple is going to get its contractual obligations argument in front of the Second District Court of Appeals, and that will be something. I'm talking amicus briefs raining from the heavens. You look right here. By contrast, this is what the response from Ripple says. Defendants raise a legal question about the scope and the term of investment contract as construed in Howey and whether it can be applied, whether there is no contract between the buyer and the seller that grants rights to the buyer and imposes obligations on the seller. If the SEC is permitted to appeal, defendants will seek to cross-appeal on this issue as well as the fact-bound portion of the court's order finding liability for certain transactions. I tell you, this is why I see the case going the full distance here, and we end up getting the Ripple test out of this because the SEC isn't stopping. They realize that this is a loss, but I also believe that that's how important this case has become for this technology, not just the XRP ledger technology, the crypto space, the digital asset space, distributed ledger technology, ladies and gentlemen. That's how important this is. And here from Stuart, who says, we oppose the SEC's request for an interlocutory appeal. There is no extraordinary circumstance here that would justify departing from the rule requiring all issues as to all parties to be resolved before an appeal. So don't forget this part, because I'm not a lawyer, but I've learned enough to know this. They could get denied the interlocutory appeal, and they could still choose to generally appeal either when the case is over, or they could drop the issue between Brad and Chris and just go for appeal straight out of that. So it's not over yet, right? And we've been in this thing long enough to know that it's not over until it's all over. Right? We know that much, but we have won, and we have won in a big way. And as a reminder, there is no issue here, as Brad Garlinghouse tells us. Reminder, the request for appeal, even if granted, does not change the fact that XRP is not a security. That's not for debate. Trial, but the SEC continues to claim that Chris and I acted recklessly in believing that XRP is not a security. That's utter nonsense. It absolutely is. You're going to continue to pursue Brad and Chris when the judge herself has ruled that XRP in and of itself is not a security. It is utter nonsense. No doubt about it. Now, here we go. This is Ed Grad Crypto, and he says, I'm back, and the rise for the new demand zone is in front of us, ladies and gentlemen. If we look at this, we're looking at this little area here. 58 cents is where we are. New demand zone could dip down as low as 54 is what he's seeing here on the charts. And it's not financial advice from me, him, or anyone else. It's just our digital perspectives. And don't forget about that $50 spike that happened on Gemini. It was not a glitch, ladies and gentlemen. It was a liquidity issue on that platform, and that's why it went to 50 bucks. And that may someday prove to be a micro example of what we witness happen on all the exchanges once the industry truly realizes the full implications of this ruling from this judge and then the demand for it in the financial system. Again, not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.